Suzy Wrong, Joy Drive with Dee and Warren's film, TV and theatre reviewer.
Suzy Wrong, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just so impressed that you two can make LinkedIn a compelling listen.
Do you have I haven't stalked you on LinkedIn, Suzy. Are you on it?
I have hidden it away because it is so old and decrepit and everything feels so outdated and I can't be bothered. I don't really know how to update it, so I've sort of hidden it away. Plus also, everybody knows who I am.
Yeah, that's right. And you don't have time for LinkedIn because you've got us all so busy watching RuPaul's Drag Race, not just the US season, not the upcoming Australian season, but now also the UK season 2.
And I've got to say, today is the first day in history that someone has called me, and that being you, Dee, and I've said, no, I can't talk now. I'm watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Just shy of lunchtime it was too. Suzy, I'm not sure if you caught up earlier, but Warren made a bit of a boo-boo. He watched the wrong season. He watched season 1 of the UK.
Season 1 initially.
And he said it was boring. And I said, I watched it last night and I thought it was great. But I watched season 2, episode 1.
All right, so Warren didn't see season 2.
Yes, I did. I watched it today, episode 1.
Okay.
And I've got to say, I absolutely loved it.
I love this one.
Yeah, they are so witty. The acerbity in their wit is just the best thing about this show, which is what we love about drag queens, I guess. You've got to be quite cutting, and they do it so effortlessly, you know?
Do you know, I find that the judges, the lines, they're obviously written for them. They're not off the cuff, and I find them impossible. And I think they even cringe delivering them. I think it'd be better if Ru just did them all.
I think Elizabeth Hurley was a complete waste of time. Like, I love her. I think she's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, but she was hopeless on the show. And she really spoiled those segments, the runway stuff where they have to deliver those funny lines, because she hated them. She clearly hated them, so it didn't help.
I have to say, though, I felt like in this season that RuPaul was enjoying herself more than in previous seasons. I felt like some of the last were a little bit more authentic than previously.
I think she gets the UK sensibility. She's more, being British. It seems more comfortable, more at home.
Yeah, that's my feeling about the whole, the whole UK versus US experience, which this time is unusual because it's happening at the same time. And you can really feel the difference in tone. And it comes as no surprise that the three of us would enjoy the UK one more. I think culturally we're probably closer to them. And just the amount of comedy and I don't think it's only the contestants. Clearly the contestants are really talented. But, they've got things called story producers, so they've got all these people behind the scenes, the people who are really amazing for the UK season.
Cool.
And the people who are conducting the interviews, the ones that the contestants are out of drag, and then so they're doing these interviews. I think those people conducting those interviews are really clever to get so much juice out of these queens.
Did you find, though, that it's a little bit less bitchy between the queens than, say, the US series?
Yes, and I also like the fact that in the UK they can pick. You said acerbic before. It didn't seem so. It's more sort of gentle jostling between the queens from different parts of the UK, like the way that they sort of tease the Scot, and it's the way in the UK though, isn't it? It's much more regionally based. Whereas in the US, I don't think you can pick on somebody because they would be too worried about class distinction.
Yeah, I guess maybe they pick on meaningless things, but it's the speed of which and the sharpness of which that they pick on these things that I guess we feel comfortable that they're picking on. Yeah, and also compared to season 1, it's had a massive glow up because season 1 they look really scraggly, and that happens with so many places, with Thailand and hopefully Canada is going to improve next year. But season 1, everyone just kind of figure things out, and this season 2 they look stunning, and they're so clever with how they present their looks. There's so much thought and so many sort of creative ideas that are happening. I find it so entertaining, not just to look for beauty, but to look for sort of the thought process behind what people are doing for the clothing.
We're talking, of course, to Suzy Wrong, who's our theatre film TV critic, and we're talking about RuPaul's Drag Race Season 2, Episode 1 on Stan here in Australia. Suzy, I don't know much about how the show is made, but this one, the UK season, to me, the US one that we reviewed last time just seemed to be about lip syncing, and I'm not sure if that's standard. But this one was much more interesting to me because it has much more about the outfits, and they looked at LGBTQIA plus history, and it was sort of more in depth.
Yeah, this UK format was a little bit more classic. The US one this year, they started with a lot of lip syncing, which kind of, I think it was trying to offer us something refreshing, something different. But I think for people who are not quite as familiar with the series, it did come across a little bit repetitive with the US ones. But this is usually the format where a lot more things happen in the first episode, and hopefully we get to know them more. But actually what happened was, no spoilers, but the one who got kicked out, I think she got kicked out because the judges never saw that side of her that we saw, out of drag. She was excellent out of drag with all the really, really clever repartee she had with the camera.
Yep.
Yeah, but clearly those things the judges never got to see, and unfortunately she had to leave.
I also loved all the gay icons that came up. I mean, we had David Bowie, we had Naomi Campbell, we had so many really good classic gay icons in Series 1.
I also think, Suzy, and what's your comment on this? It seems to me that these queens are playing with gender more. The idea that a drag queen can come up dressed as a man, dressed as a woman, dressed as a man is fascinating to me.
Yeah, they didn't make a big enough deal out of it, but I discovered online that 2 of the 12 contestants identify as non-binary.
Oh.
And I think that that's really interesting, because when we're watching it, there's so much of like in drag, out of drag, and we're so used to interpreting it as pretending to be a woman, and then normally you are a man. But because they didn't label themselves on the show, we kind of make those assumptions. So it's good to know that 2 of them are non-binary, and things are changing in the world and in the show.
I also love the fact that when they come into the room in the start of the show, they were very friendly to each other, and I noticed that was in contrast to the US one.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bitching going on, putting people down straight away. That was non-existent in the UK version, and it was really refreshing and pleasant to see, to be honest.
I feel like it's about show production. I feel like when there's a lot of bitchiness happening, especially so early on, I feel like it's what's happening behind the camera, and how people are trying to create drama in hopes that there's going to be tension from the very start. Yeah.
Suzy Rong, I feel the need to put you on the spot. We're talking UK RuPaul Drag Race Season 2. Who will win?
You know what? I think Lawrence Chaney was a real standout.
Yep.
Because she was so funny, and then the looks were amazing as well. But personally, I love Bimini Bombulash.
Yeah, Bimini's my pick.
So strange and kooky and just so endearing.
Yeah.
But those ones, it's harder for them to go the long haul because there are lots of challenge that they might fall over. Lawrence Chaney looks a bit more confident. Yeah.
And the judges all love Lawrence Chaney.
Who would have thought that a microwave was called a poppity ping? A poppity ping in Welsh.
It makes sense.
Poppity ping.
Poppity ping.
A microwave. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, we did. We have heard of that. Suzy Rong, have you got homework for us for next week?
Yeah, we're staying on stand for a 5-part UK series called It's a Sin. It is not about Pet Shop Boys, unfortunately. It is about 1980s, a group of young queer people, I believe, in London, trying to make a life of themselves, but they find themselves up against the AIDS epidemic.
So It's a Sin on stand.
Yeah.
80s, London, queer, my sweet spot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Suzy Rong, we're going to leave it there. We'll catch you next week.
See you next Tuesday.